Yo, what's up guys? In this video I want to talk about two things. Number one, I want to talk about the chesting, also known as, precasting quickness for yourself. And I also want to talk about relic precasting. Both of those things became more important in recent times, especially in the, context of dungeon tours or, I guess also speedruns, dungeons generally, where you have the ability to precast some stuff. But yeah, they are definitely not for everyone. Not everyone is gonna want to do this kind of stuff. But I see some people asking, and I do those things in tours, so I felt like making an in-depth video and talking about this stuff, explaining this stuff, yeah, makes sense to do. And then everybody can decide for themselves if that's for you and you want to start doing it, or if you just want to stay away from it. Either way, that's totally fair. Okay, before we start talking about any sort of precasting, everyone needs to understand how the status reset works. What is the status reset, you might wonder now? That's a good question, and well, it pretty much means that if you swap templates, you lose your boons. Which wasn't always like this, but ANET, did some changes like almost 4 years ago, and that's the way it's been since then. So as you can see, when I give myself some might now here with blast gyro, and I then swap, I'm on power scrapper right now, let's swap to quick scrapper, I lose my boons. But the thing is, that's only true for build templates. Yeah, I swap the build template right now. If I'm on power scrapper and I swap an equipment template, right now I'm on my, just DPS template, equipment template for dungeons. I give myself might again, and then I swap to this precast template here. As you guys can see, I still keep my might. So you only remove the boons from yourselves when you pretty much do any change right here. If you change a single trait, you lose boons. Boom, the might is gone. But if we change anything regarding to templates, we swap out our weapon, we swap out a relic, everything, that's totally fine and it works, and we don't lose our boons. And because of this whole thing, this whole precasting relics and this whole chesting, or also known as precasting quickness, because of this, that's the only reason this even works. Okay, so since we are now all on the same page and know how this stuff works, let's start by talking about. Let's start with talking with chesting. Later we will talk about the relic stuff. Yeah, so how does chesting work, or how does precasting quickness work? It's the number one thing is we need those chests. That's also why we like to call it chesting. The endless shiny chest tonic, or alternatively the endless bonus box tonic. They both work. I think there's like a third one that works. I don't know. I suggest you get one of those too, because that's what we will need for this to work. Where can you guys get those? That's a good question. They used to be only obtainable during Fractal Rush, but now they are obtainable all the time. You just go over here in the Squid Cave, and there's a merchant where you can buy them. I think for pristine Fractal relics, something like that. So yeah, you can get those, and then you can either keep them in your inventory and use them from here if you like it this way. I prefer to put them in my novelties and simply using them through via a hotkey. Same thing for my Execution X, right? Like I can just hit this key, and same thing for my Execution X, and have those toys pretty much, like, use those toys. Anyway, that's totally up to you how you want to use this, but yeah, let's dive in now how this actually works. So we obviously need a precast template for it with celerity sigils. If we read celerity sigils, how they work is, first of all, we can stack superior and major, which is nice. But if we read now, gain quickness for 5 seconds after disabling a foe. That's on a 20-second cooldown. We get 5 seconds of quickness from the superior. We get 4 seconds of quickness from the major sigil. Times 2, because we have 100% boon duration. That's the reason why we want to have high boon duration on a precasting template. That's 18 seconds of quickness. And now you guys might wonder how we disable ourselves. Well, that's exactly where the chests come into play, because the chests pretty much, yeah, disable ourselves, and we ourselves also count as foes, I guess. Because as you can see, if I use a chest, boom, I get the quickness. If I'm on the same weapon, if I'm on a weapon with those sigils. And well, knowing this, that pretty much allows you to do the following. We see those, or you guys see those tropical birds over there. Let's just pretend they are an enemy. And I want to, you know, I want to be on power scrapper because it's more damage than quick scrapper. But I also want to have quickness for fighting, because, you know, not having quickness is depressing. So what I can do now is, instead of, I need to be on the right build template number, like that's step number 1, because we learned if we swap build templates we lose all of our boons, so we can't just before we are on the right build template. So normally I run this, right? Like, this is my power scrapper and this is my DPS equipment template. So what I do now is I swap to my precast equipment template. I'm still on power scrapper. And on this precast equipment template, this is where I have my, you know, celerity sigils on my weapons. And then I use the chest. And then I swap back to my DPS equipment template. And now I have quickness. I'm on power scrapper and ready to fight. Yeah, pretty much allowing me, yeah, to have quickness without being a quickness provider in this solo scenario. And in a group scenario, it obviously means that if we had 5 people now, no one of those 5 people, if everyone would just use, you know, if everyone used chest, no one would have to play a quickness provider that actually provides quickness in combat, as long as the fight is obviously, you know, less than, let's say 18, 16 seconds, something around that, because that's the quickness we can precast for ourselves. Allowing us to go full DPS, everyone, and, you know, just have more damage effectively, because we don't need someone who plays, yeah, a quickness provider. That's pretty much chesting for you guys. That's how it works. Really useful. There are still certain situations in dungeons where it's just better to play a quickness provider because you are in combat for a long time, or you just simply don't have the time to, you know, to do this, even though it's quick. But sometimes it's just better to, you know, if you really like, if you get to a point in dungeon tours where it's really quick and everything is super optimized, it gets to a point where even like this short chesting sometimes it's just, there's just no time for it. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that if you use the chest, you put yourself in combat, which means that in, you know, in instances, obviously then nobody else can waypoint during that time, which can be especially frustrating for your thief player. If you know, if you do dungeon tours, if you have a thief skipping around, oftentimes he leaves a portal, then wants to take a waypoint that's kind of next to you and then port you on top of like a boss or something, and he can't port if you chest in that exact time. So that's something you have to watch out for. Just a, you know, little reminder to keep that, yeah, to keep that in mind and don't fuck like other people over with being in combat. But yeah, that's chesting. Let's dive into precasting relics next. Yeah, and precasting relics is pretty much, well, effectively it works the same as precasting, well, as chesting, precasting quickness. We have our equipment templates, and those relics are obviously tied to equipment templates. So same thing right here on my power damage, on my damage equipment template. I want to play in combat. I have fireworks relic, but the first relic we're going to talk about is the brawler relic, which I have right here on my precast template. And the brawler relic works the following: gives us 10% damage increase for 4 seconds, strike damage, and we can trigger it by granting ourselves protection or resolution. In the for us on Scrapper right now, a simple way to proc this is the reconstruction field. You know, here medkit F1 gives ourselves protection, therefore activates the brawler relic. So what we can do now, we are obviously on power scrapper. We need to be on the right build template. We want to be on the fight, and then it's simply, we use the skill, we proc the relic, and then we can swap, and, you know, hammer 5 would then proc the fireworks relic, because we, you know, we are back on our combat combat relic, or combat combat relic, combat template, the template we want to be in combat in. Making it so we have 2 relics up at the same time. That's pretty much how it works. I will edit in a clip now of me making an actual precast on NG using the Brawler relic. I slowed those precasting videos down for you guys so you can follow along a little bit easier. Make sure if things go too quick to rewind them and look at it again. But yeah, like in any NG precast, we start off by placing our mines down, then we swap in the bomb kit if possible. If it's okay to, if we can't knock people away around us, we shouldn't use the big old bomb. But yeah, next thing is we chest to gain quickness, big old bomb, blast gyro, swap the mines back in, F1 to trigger Brawler relic, and then swap our templates to then hammer 5 and drop Brock fireworks. And as you guys can see down there, we had both relics up there for a short period of time. Yeah, next thing I want to talk about is the next relic I want to talk about is the Mount Ballior relic. By now you got the point, like how the whole thing works. But what does the Mount Ballior relic do specifically? It gives us a 15% strike damage increase for 6 seconds, as long as we stand in this field it creates, and we trigger the relic by using our elite skill. In the case of engineer, we can do that even without using an actual elite skill. We can just enter the mortar kit, and by just entering the mortar kit it triggers this relic, because entering the mortar kit is kind of like by the game viewed as using an elite skill. So that's the way how I like to utilize the Mount Ballior relic on engineer. I mainly utilize it on Holosmith. Towards the end of the video I will talk a little bit about like the whole relic precasting thing and what you can do and why I do what I do right now, and just some general thoughts. But yeah, for now I'll again show you a clip of me precasting or making like an actual precast, in this case like on Holosmith, with using the Mount Ballior relic. On Holosmith we obviously want to be preheated, and then again just simple stuff, we place our mines down like on pretty much all of the NG precasts. If we have the chance to, we want to do that for sure. Again we swap in the bomb kit, then we're gonna chest once more for quickness, laser disc, big old bomb, swap the mines back in, go into the mortar kit to trigger the Ballior relic, and then swap to our damage template to then hammer 5 and trigger fireworks with. Yeah, and lastly I want to talk, or the last relic I want to talk about is the Claw relic, which I have on this precast template. So pretty much that's the reason why I have 3 different precast templates, because on each one of those has a different relic equipped. You can hot swap the relics manually, but yeah, I feel like in the pace of dungeons we are running right now, that's just unrealistic in my opinion. So I need to have 3 precast templates for 3 different relics. Yeah, but the Claw relic, let's talk about it quickly. Claw relic gives us 7% damage increase, strike damage increase once again, which is all we need for dungeons. Obviously, we don't care about Condi for dungeon tours. And we trigger this relic after disabling a foe, and if you guys paid attention and watched the chesting part of this video, we can disable ourselves easily using chest. So just by chesting on this template and also having the celerity sigils here, I can give myself quickness and I can trigger the Claw relic. So yeah, you pretty much would use the chest and then would start the combat to utilize the Claw relic. And again, I'll show you guys a video of me doing this. Again, like all the precasts, we place down our mines, swap in the bomb kit, chest to also trigger Claw this time, and then big old bomb, blast gyro into swapping in mines into going to our damage template and, you know, doing hammer 5 to trigger fireworks relic as well. Okay, after talking or after showing all of the stuff to you guys now, I feel like talking a little bit about relic and relic precasting generally. Because the thing is, theoretically, it's possible to precast all 3 relics and then, you know, be on our fireworks relic, the 4th relic. And there are bosses where that's theoretically possible to do this. But I think it has gotten to a point where for our dungeon tours, where stuff is supposed to be consistent and it's also supposed to be fun at the end of the day, I feel like it gets to a point where playing optimal is just it's not realistic to pull it off all the time, and it's just straight up cancer to a certain degree to do it, like in many places, which just means it's not fun anymore, and yeah, it will make the whole thing more inconsistent. You know, like you will get stuck on certain templates sometimes. Because you need to be like super locked in, you know, if you would want to do like a 3 relic precast, something like this. I will show you guys a video right now of how to do it, but I don't really do it in any sort of form and at any time in the tour, because I feel like it's too cancer, it's too annoying. You know, for a speedrun, maybe, yeah, maybe you have to do it because it is optimal at the end of the day. But for a tour that's supposed to be consistent and just fun at the end of the day, I feel like the stuff has just gotten too far and it's too 8s. But yeah, here you go, guys. I'll show you a clip. Now this precast, as I mentioned, pretty 8s. Put the mines down. Bomb kit is in. We chest to trigger claw. We swap template to our Montbalior relic. We precast certain skills. Go into mortar kit for Montbalior. Go into different template with brawler. Do F1. Then go into damage template and press hammer 5 to trigger the fireworks relic. And in this arena here, it's a little bit buggy. If you do too much damage to the golem, it just instantly despawns. But I think you guys get the point of the precast. Yeah, finally some closing thoughts about relic precasting. Number one thing is, or the relic I precast the most is just the brawler relic precast. It's just really nice on Scrapper. It's easy, really simple to do, and you can also, you know, while doing it, like running onto a boss. Some of the others are more, you need to kind of like precast on top of the boss. But yeah, I like doing the Mount Balior in some cases for like on Holosmith, simply because Holosmith has a little bit of a longer burst window, obviously. So I feel like the longer duration of Mount Balior compared to Brawler makes sense to precast Mount Balior on Holosmith because of this. And then talking about Claw quickly, the problem with Claw is that we obviously trigger it by chesting, and Claw makes it so we want to chest as late as possible. This can have multiple problems. One problem, of course, or for example, is applied force trait, where we gain stability after having 10 stacks of might. You know, somebody precasts next to us, gives us some might, boom, we get stability, and then if we chest, we can't chest, so we don't get quickness, plus we don't get the relic. So oftentimes you want to chest early to get that quickness early. And you know, then the claw relic doesn't really work. So that's a problem where power scrapper and claw relic kind of interfere. And yeah, another thing with another thing with chesting late is that, you know, the chest has a 20-second cooldown for the quickness, and you know, if bosses are in short succession, you might want to chest. You might have your chest not up for the second boss. So that's why claw relic is sometimes a little bit difficult. You see me use it though. I like using the claw relic in combination with the brawler relic. So claw brawler for power scrapper or quick scrapper, and then Mount Balior for Holosmith. Yeah, but of course, generally speaking, about all of this, relic precasting stuff is an important thing in my opinion, and that's it's usually in dungeons never worth to delay entering combat for like precasting a relic. You know, the fights are so short, 4-second fights, that it doesn't make sense to, even if it just takes you like a second to swap template, do this, go back. Like there are times where this already just doesn't make sense because you already could, cast certain skills and start attacking the boss, and then if you precast certain relics, if you do certain stuff, the boss is already like half dead and you only get half of your burst out, or yeah, stuff like this. So keep that in mind. It usually is only worth to precast stuff, generally speaking, if you actually have the time for it. If there's some RP role playing going on, but not if the boss is already hostile and you could just like attack it already. Yeah, that's just as like a closing note. But I hope this video helped you guys. I hope it was interesting and you learned something. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace, guys.